Hi, my name is Jaden Rapiton. I was born in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and have lived all over. Both my parents were in the Army, and so I grew up as a military brat, living all over the country. Before West Point, I lived in Ohio, but I consider Hawaii to be home because that's where I spent the longest. It was 3 years, and kind of where I met a lot of really close friends I still keep in touch with, and kind of really shaped who I am today. For the first book, I chose The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. This book is about a half human, half god who's the son of Poseidon, and the whole point of the book, he's returning Zeus's stolen lightning bolt that he uses to smite down people. The book is a great introduction to Greek mythology, but for me, it was a good introduction to reading and the love of reading. It's the only series I've gotten interested in and wanted to read every single entry that is available. The Martian by Andy Weir is the second one. Kind of the same deal. It was a book I was super into at the time. I read it in under a day, and it kind of opened my eyes up to some of the futures with science and math, and kind of got me thinking sort of long term about what are the potentials for humanity. And the last one I chose is The Tattoo, which is the one I'm going to be quoting an excerpt from. This book is by Chris McKinney. It means a lot to me because it's written by an author who's from Hawaii and living there. He really encapsulates what it means to live there and what it's like on a day-to-day basis. And not only that, the characters' experiences sort of mirror my own in a lot of ways, so that really resonated with me. So the excerpt. When your mother dies and you're 6 years old, there isn't much you remember. I don't care how good your memory is. Like most young memories, scenes flash, but dialogue is forgotten. Sometimes when you're up late at night, out of the blue, you suddenly realize that you've forgotten what your mother looks like. You jump out of bed and search frantically for old photo albums. When you find an old picture of her, it's like, oh yeah. It's like you suddenly forgot how to spell a simple word, and you look it up in the dictionary, and you tell yourself what an idiot you are for forgetting it. Unlike the spell search, however, when you forget what your mother looked like, and you have to rediscover the image in a damn photograph, you go back to bed with guilt of an ungrateful child. So, having been through the same experience myself, having lost a parent like that, it was kind of sobering to read someone else's account of a similar experience, kind of a phenomenon I thought I was weird or different for having. Also, too, it really kind of hits home on the loneliness and isolation that you can feel being there. Most of my family, all my family was back on the mainland, so it was really tough to kind of be like that for 3 years, a big chunk of my life. I just didn't see my family, so that was tough. For the painting, I chose Fallen Angel by Alexander Cabanel. So he's a French artist, and he captures the pain and anguish that encapsulates the fallen angel Lucifer. So I'm not super religious, but when I saw this picture, I wanted to look into the background of it, and then I started reading the context of it. And there's different books in the Bible that really reference that. The one I found to be the closest to sort of the story of Lucifer was Ezekiel 28, where he writes that, blameless in your ways, from the day you were created, till wickedness was found in you. Through your widespread trade, you were filled with violence and you sinned. So because of that, Lucifer was exiled from the kingdom of God and heaven, and then thrust down and then into hell. So there's different versions of how it played out for Lucifer, but that story of just kind of falling from grace is kind of big, and it really resonated with me, because I feel like when you're born, you're sort of on this playing field, like you're built in God's image, but the things that you do can take you farther away from that, or it can take you closer to that. So kind of seeing this image was the depiction of what it would be like had you fallen from that place of grace of God. For the last piece of media, I chose a movie. So the movie I chose is Memento by Christopher Nolan, or they're directed by Christopher Nolan. This was the first film of his that I had seen, and it is a really interesting premise where the entire film is shot in reverse, and it centers around a man with severe amnesia. He cannot remember anything longer than 30 seconds, and this film influenced me and got me introduced to Christopher Nolan and some of his other films like The Dark Knight and Dunkirk. But it illuminated to me that film is more than just mindless entertainment. It can be an art form and can be done in ways that can defy your expectations and make you think a lot harder about what you're watching than just, again, like I said earlier, for entertainment. One big thing that it did for me when I saw it is it kind of inspired me to started doing photography and filming videos because I wanted to kind of make something cool like that. I'm no Christopher Nolan, but it was definitely a start to the hobby for me.